From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. I got a message from my sister yesterday, and I've been meaning to call her back. I've got to do that today because I didn't trust the message. I don't think it was from her. Does this happen to you occasionally? I'm sure it does. Yeah, I got a message from her, but here's the thing. You know, if you're not already connected, it'll ask permission. In other words, you get a message saying this person is asking to message you. So they actually send the message, but they also include this sort of a cryptic little note that you two aren't currently connected, so she's asking to be, I don't know, get my approval. But we're already connected. We talk all the time via message or text. And or phone calls. We do all three. Even emails occasionally. They go so far. So I didn't answer this. I didn't accept this request, even though the message itself was very friendly and personal. I'm pulling out my phone right now. I was going to read it to you, but I believe it's been deleted. When I rejected it, it deleted it. I could probably find deleted messages, couldn't I? I'm sure you know more about this than I do. Anyway, it made me kind of sad. I've thought about this a lot lately. We can't trust our phones. This was a message possibly from my sister. And again, I haven't gotten back to her yet. I feel bad about that. I should have gotten right on that. But I'm pretty certain she didn't send it. So I need to call her. But the point is, I don't trust my phone for anything anymore. I mean, we're flooded these days. It seems to be just getting worse and worse. With all the technology and with the encrypting and with you'd think it's an arms race. The crooks and the scammers are just constantly upping their game. So it's an arms race between the crooks and the people trying to design security for our various platforms of communication. I mean, I don't trust any emails. We all know that by now, right? You never, ever open a link. I mean, that's gotten to the level of Nigerian prince wants to give you money. We all know this by now, right? You don't open a link that you're not absolutely sure of. But I'm getting it on my message platform. My text, oh my God, I'm getting stuff every day. And they're getting so good at it. I get a lot of texts from my bank, which I'm sure are not from my bank. But I'm looking at it, and it looks awfully real. So even those of us who are being ultra conservative about this, we're being really careful. Sometimes I'll take a minute and I'll look, is that really from my bank? Maybe they're notifying me via text that somebody is trying to hack my account. Maybe this is important information. But maybe the text message itself is trying to hack my account. So I err on the side of caution. So if you're thinking that's the case, well, all right, give them a call. You initiate the contact. Don't open up any links. You initiate the call then. All right, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just telling you my experience, and it's becoming very annoying. Nobody answers calls anymore, unless you're absolutely sure you know who's calling. I can't open up any links. I don't trust half of my texts. Again, they're coming from my sister, from my bank. They look legit. I don't trust anything anymore. I keep getting this, the package delivery scam. Do you get this one? Oh, there's a package waiting for you. Please click this link to approve delivery. You've seen this one, right? And then you stop to think, well, have I ordered something that I'm waiting for? Well, I don't, because that's so rare. But generally, I mean, a lot of people, they're getting deliveries every day, or at least a couple, 3 times a week. So yeah, this scam, your package is waiting. I imagine for people who get packages every day or a couple times a week, that might be very confusing or tempting for them, thinking, oh, okay, well, yeah, I do have a couple packages on the way. Maybe this is it. So the scammers, who's ever doing this crap, they're doing it because it works. They're doing it because it reaps some pretty nice profit for them. And that's the world we live in right now. Crooks are incentivized. We have just put down a welcome mat. We have put up a "come on in, the door's open" sign. I don't think ever in our history we've been so welcoming, so inviting to this kind of criminal behavior. And not only is it a problem, it's a problem we've created ourselves. Because it's the world we've designed. Incentive, reward. If financial gain is the central and primary incentive for all of us, well then, what should we expect? Why don't we just take away the incentive in the first place? In every single aspect of life, we are incentivizing bad behavior. And all of the punishments in the world are never going to keep up. As long as that financial incentive remains central to everything we're about. I mean, look at U.S. policy. The Democrats are famous for this. They're always trying to incentivize good behavior through the tax code. They've just gone mad with this. Any sort of good behavior, they have to put a price tag on. All right, we'll give you a break on your taxes if you do good things that we think are good for society, and we'll decide that in the bill we're going to write up here with all of our lobbyists helping us. So, we'll give you a tax break for putting solar panels on your roof. Okay, good. And then we will punish through the tax code things that we think are bad. Well, we don't want you to smoke, so we're going to tax cigarettes. We don't want you to pollute, so we're going to tax carbon. I mean, the whole area of environmental law is all about reward and punishment. We'll incentivize you to do the good things. We'll punish you for doing the bad things. But all of it is based in money. It's all in the tax code. We're going to give you tax breaks if you do good. We're going to tax you if you do bad. Even the Green New Deal, even the most progressive proposed legislation in years, with the most progressive lawmakers we've had in years, even the Green New Deal is just completely centered on financial incentives. It's relying on private companies, private corporations. Well, we want to incentivize them to do the right thing, so we'll let them in on the game and they can make a lot of money doing good things. This has never worked. This has never worked. This is a ridiculous idea. It's as dumb as trickle-down economics, which has been proven time and time again to be a complete hoax, to be what then candidate George H.W. Bush called voodoo economics. All of this sort of private-public cooperation, incentivize the private sector to do the right thing, it's all a big joke. It's never worked, and it never will. Perfect example, the so-called opportunity zones. It was a big idea back in the 80s with Jack Kemp, a congressman at the time, and it was resurfaced again in the Orange Menace administration. It's always been hanging around, and sometimes it bubbles up, and Congress will throw some funding at these kind of projects. Well, the idea is that you incentivize private companies, in this case, real estate developers, to go into low-income areas, and if they do the right thing, in this case, provide low-income housing, they'll be rewarded through tax breaks and through other financial incentives. Will help you do this thing. But still, it's asking a private for-profit company to do the right thing. Well, there's case after case after case of these so-called opportunity zones where the guys who want the money take advantage. They're able to, with their teams of corporate and what do you call lawyers who specialize in getting public money? That's a whole thing in and of itself. That's a whole industry. So there's case after case of these projects just not working or developments that never should have qualified in the first place somehow managed to get qualified, and little to no help to the people who needed the help. No, instead it's just full of corruption and boondoggles and, go see the 60 Minutes episodes. They're just full of it. It happened with all the funding for the pandemic. Millionaires, billionaires are applying for and getting these funds. As long as the incentive is money, the result will be the guys with the money find a way to make more money. That'll always be the case. Whether it's environment, opportunity zones, whatever it is. What it is, it's a means versus ends problem. Now, with all good intentions, God, Democrats, they're just killing me. They have such good intentions, and I don't doubt their good intentions. They think they really do. They think this will work. But it's a means versus ends. So in other words, for the lawmaker, for the well-intentioned lawmaker, the end is to help people. Right? Okay. The means to that end is to engage the help of private corporations. But the private corporations have their means and ends reversed. Their end is not to help people. No, their end is to make money. The means to that end is exploiting the system. If it helps people, fine. They're not against helping people. They're not like evil villains twisting their mustaches and laughing maniacally. No, I'm not. That doesn't have to be part of the equation here. Maybe some of them are. I'm sure, actually, now that I think about it, I'm sure many of them are evil guys with twisting their mustaches. But they don't have to be. That's the point. It's means versus ends. Their end is to make money. Their means is whatever it takes. If they happen to help people, fine. But that's not their goal. Their goal is to make money. Poor people are just part of the equation. Okay, the government wants to help poor people, and they've created this complicated system. Let's get all of our team of lawyers in there and figure out how to get our hands on. There's literally billions of dollars in these well-intentioned programs. It'll never work. This will never work. Democrats. Now, I'm not talking to Republicans because they're just a whole nother deal. They're just a bunch of wannabe Mussolinis, and I don't know what they're doing. They're just all crazy. I'm talking to Democrats who are trying, just really, really attempting to govern. You really want to do this right, but you're not doing it right. What we have to do, we have to remove the incentive for bad behavior. Remove the reward, and the behavior goes away. Basic reward and punishment. It's just baked in to who we are, what we are. So if the incentive for exploiting these bloated government programs is profit, that is exactly what we have to take away. We have to go in and just cut it out right at the heart. To the greatest extent possible, and you know me, I want to abolish money entirely as a concept, right? All right, I'm not going that far yet. That's what I want. But as a step in that direction, at least, we have to take profit out of its central role in how we organize our lives. If we remove the financial incentive, most crime and most social ills just disappear. Because it would be illogical. If you have nothing to gain, why would you mess with me? Why would you try to steal my identity? Just for fun? No, you have to have that reward. If you take away the reward, which we can do through public policy, through the legitimate lawmaking role of government, we can indeed remove financial reward for criminals and wrongdoers. If you don't have any reward, why would you do the bad thing? You'd have to be a psychopath. And okay, sure, there'd still be some psychopaths out there, and we'd have to guard against them. But we wouldn't be actually creating the incentives, which is what we do now. Right now, we're literally creating psychopaths because their behavior is rewarded. We create more and more psychopaths. Take away the profit incentive and all bad things go away. Well, most of them. I mean, let's just run down the list here. So the things we yell about and worry about. The food we eat. What grower would fill their fruits and vegetables full of chemicals, if not for the need for profits? We're poisoning ourselves every day with this crap we're eating, all this processed food. The nutrient value in the apple you eat today is a fraction of the nutrient value of the apple your grandmother ate 75 years ago. Because of the way food is grown, because of the way it's distributed, the way it has to travel around the goddamn world, all of this goes away without the profit motive. The growers and the distributors of food would just grow and distribute healthy food. What would incentivize them to do otherwise? Nothing. Without the profit motive, they're just back to being regular human beings. And regular human beings wouldn't poison food and wouldn't sell poison food. Social media, there's a great one. The profit incentive creates platforms and devices and et cetera that creates addiction. We all know the horror stories from social media, especially Facebook. But what social media company would do all those horrible things without the profit motive to do them? You'd have to be literally insane. Without the incentive, the bad behavior goes away. I'm always a big defender of social media as a concept. Take away the money and the very idea that we can share our thoughts and our photos and we can have all these communities and this communication. And I personally like to have my friends share articles that they found in some obscure publication. And it's social media could be the most beautiful thing in the world. The money is the only thing ruining it. Look at gaming. There again, in many ways, kind of a really sort of beautiful, creative, innovative. There's so many good things you can say about gaming. But in a money-centric, profit-centric world, that's where all the negative stuff comes from. The addiction, the violence, the misogyny. Let's just, to the best extent possible, take the profit motive out of the way we operate collectively. Pandemics. Let's look at COVID in particular. How would that have looked different without the profit incentive for Pfizer and Moderna and the others? Here's the argument you might make, or another person might make. Well, we never would have had the vaccines without these private companies and without their incentive. They made profit, and that's how we got them. No, that's just dead wrong. That's 100% wrong. Are you telling me that scientists and researchers would just stand there with their arms folded and say, no, I'm not going to do this unless you pay me millions and billions of dollars? No, of course not. Of course not. We still have the same know-how. We still have the same skilled and trained people. Just do it. Because they're basically decent human beings. And this is what they do. This is their life. Pfizer and Moderna and the others making literally billions of dollars was completely unnecessary in this process. And then to hold the intellectual property rights is just absolutely evil with a capital EVIL. It would be unimaginable without the profit incentive. If not for the opportunity to make billions of dollars, why would they retain rights? Why would they control distribution? And why would they withhold it from most of the world? They would have to be criminally insane. Again, the profit motive creates psychopathic behavior that otherwise would be unimaginable. Without the need for profit, hospitals would have been more prepared for COVID. Because hospitals, like every single other for-profit business in the world, operates on small inventories. You can't have any excess inventory. You can't have any excess staff because that costs you money. You have to be right in that sweet spot You know, Walmart pioneered this whole idea. You have just enough inventory because if you have any more, you're losing money. If you have more staff than is absolutely minimally required, you're losing money. Yeah, with the technology and the business model that Walmart pioneered and everybody else picked up on, it's that just on time. You have just enough rakes in the fall as you're going to need vis-a-vis the demand. If you have one more rake, it's going to cost you a couple of bucks. So that's how hospitals were operating. And that's how the entire supply chain for everything we needed regarding the pandemic, whether it's syringes or little glass vials or all the personal protective equipment, the PPE, all of it. Remember in the early days of the pandemic, and it went on for forever. Shortages. People didn't have, we couldn't get masks right away. All because of this sort of just-in-time supply chain delivery thing that saves a couple bucks on each item. All driven by the profit incentive. Without the profit incentive, we could have been ready. We could have taken the advice of health experts and researchers, warning us about future pandemics, warning us about this for years and years. Well, here's what we're going to need to have ready. Here's what we need to do to both prevent and then, God forbid, if we get hit, these are the facilities we're going to need. This is the supply chain we're going to need. They knew it. We had papers. We had action plans. But those researchers, those people trying to warn us, were not operating under the dictates of profit. The entire problem with the climate crisis, as it's been developing certainly over the last 4 or 5 decades, climate crisis created by profit, and the silly notion that we can get out of it using the same reward punishment system is just laughably insane. Yeah, take it away. Take away the incentive. Every law passed from this point forward, that has to be our central goal, to take money out of the equation as much as possible. And then we're just back to being human beings with our natural reward and punishment. We'd be incentivized to do the right thing because we're just people. We'll close with this here. I saw a nice little meme the other day, a little post about the happiness chemicals and how they're released. So dopamine is the reward chemical, eating food, achieving a goal, completing a task, or self-care activities. Let's go back to means versus ends. The end should be happiness, achievement. But the profit system has turned this on its head. So getting people to eat food increases profits, so the food becomes addictive. Self-care activities. Oh my God, it's a whole entire industry of self-help books, life coaches, gym and fitness outfits, diet programs. What has been more twisted than the whole idea of self-care? Self-care is no longer the end. Self-care is the means by which profit motive turns it on its head. Oxytocin is the love hormone released when you socialize through physical touch, petting animals, helping others. All wonderful things, but once they're commercialized, again, turned upside down. The ends replacing the means. Helping others. We got this private charity, private foundation cottage industry constantly badgering you for money. $19 a month. And then you have to decide, okay, am I going to save the cats and dogs or the dolphins or the poor kid or the kid with cancer or who am I going to... I mean, come on. It's a big old damn racket. Socializing. All right, socializing releases oxytocin, but socializing has become completely enveloped by profit. My parents used to have the neighbors over and for a whole night of Royal Rummy or euchre or whatever the card game was. Now you're not socializing unless you're dealing the green, man. You gotta be making it rain at some bar or restaurant or amusement park or some damn cruise ship or a ski resort. You can't socialize without spending money. You got to spend $18 on a couple of cups of coffee. Pretty much most of human socializing, at least in this country, has been completely taken over by the profit motive. Two more here. The happiness chemicals that we all share. Endorphin, the painkiller, and serotonin, the mood stabilizer. Endorphin, released through exercising, listening to music, watching a movie, laughter. These, again, all wonderful things, all completely subsumed by the syndicate of profit. Exercising, listening to music, watching a movie, laughing. Well, maybe you can still laugh with your friends. Maybe that still happens. But can you do any of these things without lining somebody's pocket? We're in the age of Planet Fitness and Peloton. You know, even if you're just out taking a walk, you got to have just the right shoes, just the right outfit. Listening to music, watching a movie. Well, of course, you got to pay your monthly subscription to 14 different streaming services. And then finally, serotonin, the mood stabilizer, sun exposure, mindfulness, meditation, be with nature. Even there, this is the maybe the one area where we could still remove ourselves from the rule of money. Try to practice mindfulness, meditation, go out and get some sun, being with nature. Yeah, you could do these things. But still, even in these, the most basic human-centered, and by that, humans as animals, just the really foundational stuff. Even here, the profit guys have their hands, especially the whole mindfulness meditation thing. Oh my God. You got to have books. You got to have podcasts. You got to have teachers. You have to have an app if you're going to do any of this. Yeah, we've incentivized crime. We've incentivized antisocial behavior. We've incentivized all the ills and problems we face. We've made them all exponentially worse with a system we could very well change. Profit creates psychopathic behavior. And we live in a psychopathic country where they're trying to get their hands on virtually every minute of our lives. And for the most part, they've succeeded. Certainly, they've succeeded to the point where I can't even answer my phone. I can't answer a message from my sister because I don't trust it. Or from my bank, who might be trying to warn me about some activity, but I can't trust it. What a screwed up world. And good news, bad news, I guess, is the same. We're doing it to ourselves. We have the ability to change this. This is not any sort of natural disaster. It's written right into our laws. We have put money and profit at the center of everything. We have to just go in like a damn surgeon and cut it out. We have to remove it. And I'm not promising a perfect world, but I'm absolutely convinced that we would be immeasurably better off by removing profit as our sole incentive. We really could get back just to being human beings, being decent human beings, which we all are, which we're all trying to be. We could actually act on our best impulses if we were free to do so. I'm totally convinced of that. Tell me I'm wrong. Make the argument against that. I don't, because I can't. All right. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.